Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Elizabeth Clare Prophet? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of this case, then I'll move to my analysis. Elizabeth Clare Prophet was born in Long Branch, New Jersey on April 8, 1939. She grew up in the town of Red Bank, New Jersey. Her father was Lutheran and her mother was Catholic, but the family did not really practice any religious beliefs outside of major holidays. Even still, Elizabeth developed an interest in religion early on. She claimed that when she was about 4 years old, she had a vision of herself playing next to the Nile River in Egypt. She told her mother about this vision. Her mother informed her that she was seeing a past life. At age 9, Elizabeth started studying Christian Science. Elizabeth's father was unable to regulate his intake of alcohol. He mistreated her and her mother. Elizabeth came to believe that when people drink alcohol, it creates a chemical imbalance which allows demons to take over their mind and emotions. Elizabeth would pass out on occasion. She was diagnosed with what would now be called absence seizures. She tried taking medication, but claimed that it was not effective. Elizabeth later came to believe that medications her mother took when she was pregnant with her may have led to the seizure problem. Elizabeth claimed that she had mystical experiences. Just to name a few, she would hear the ocean sound in her inner ear. She felt God's light around her naturally. When she would go water skiing, she was suspended in a place where other spiritual beings existed. These beings would radiate love. Elizabeth graduated from high school in 1957 and enrolled in a college in Ohio before transferring to Boston University. At some point, Elizabeth married, but the marriage ended in a divorce. In August 1961, Elizabeth graduated with a degree in political science. In April of 1961, just a few months before she graduated, she met a man named Marcus Lyle Prophet, who went by the name Mark. In 1958, he founded a New Age religious organization and mystical school called the Summit Lighthouse. It was in Washington, D.C. Mark was a self-proclaimed prophet and declared himself a messenger of the Ascended Masters. The Ascended Masters is a religious belief system that involves a collection of mystic saints. From what I understand, Mark's real last name was Prophet. It's not like he decided he was a prophet and then changed his name, although that is possible. There's not a lot of information about him out there. If this really was his name, then he wasn't technically wrong about being a prophet. It's hard to imagine that having the last name Prophet didn't contribute in some way to him believing he was a prophet. I wonder how his life would have turned out if his last name was something like Farmer, Driver, or Assistant Marketing Director. Elizabeth claimed that she had a vision that her mission in life was to further humanity's spiritual evolution by transmitting a higher teaching to the people of the world. She became convinced that she was a messenger of the Ascended Masters, just like Mark. She was positive that Mark was her spiritual teacher because she looked into his eyes. Elizabeth claimed that she had another vision in June. This one was of an Ascended Master who commanded her to go to the Summit Lighthouse in Washington, D.C. Mark invited her to be a student at this mystical school. Mark told Elizabeth that she was his twin flame, which is a New Age cult version of a pickup line. Elizabeth and Mark married in 1963. They would eventually have 4 children. The couple remained married until Mark died on February 26, 1973. Elizabeth ascended to the throne of the mystical school. In 1975, she established the Church Universal and Triumphant. The church was designed to promote the Summit Lighthouse message. She moved the church to California. In 1981, Elizabeth purchased a 12,000-acre ranch in Corwin Springs, Montana. She moved the headquarters of the church to that property in 1986. The next year, Elizabeth came up with a frightening prediction. She said that the Soviet Union was going to launch a nuclear strike against the United States, which would bring an end to the world. She had about 2,000 church members construct a large bomb shelter in Corwin Springs. Other members constructed smaller shelters in the area. The members also stockpiled weapons and armored vehicles. On March 15, 1990, members of the church stayed in the shelters, waiting for the end of the world. Some of them quit their jobs. When the termination of life on the planet did not occur, the members said that it was all just a drill. Elizabeth moved away from planning for Armageddon and focused on community outreach. It was just as well, as a court ordered the construction of the shelter to cease after diesel fuel leaked into the ground from tanks that the members had put in the shelter. Elizabeth would later claim that the media distorted her message. She did believe that there would be a nuclear war, but she did not believe it would cause the end of the planet. Over the next several years, Elizabeth continued to work as a self-proclaimed mystic and prophet in the church she established. At its largest, the church had about 50,000 members. Elizabeth published many books using a publishing company that was established by a university that she founded. Functionally, these were self-published books. Here are just a few of the titles written by Elizabeth: Soulmates and Twin Flames, Saint Germain on Alchemy, How to Work with Angels, The Science of Spoken Word, Predict Your Future, Talk with Angels, The Hidden Power of Sound, Your 7 Energy Centers, and Working with the Masters. In November 1998, Elizabeth was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. She retired from the church the next year. Elizabeth died on October 15, 2009. She was 70 years old. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few items that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. Elizabeth was strongly influenced by Christian Science, the Ascended Master teachings, and reincarnation. She developed a distrust of authority, especially during college. She believed that world leaders were corrupt, manipulative, and unable to solve problems. She became depressed after coming to believe this and developed her own philosophy. She believed that people needed to change their concept of themselves and God in order to solve the world's problems. She was going to be a part of that plan. Item number 2, Elizabeth believed that she received dictations from various religious and historical figures, including Christopher Columbus, Merlin the magician, Jesus Christ, Joseph, the father of Jesus, and Saint Germain. Item number 3, Elizabeth promoted the idea of fast-paced spoken prayers known as decrees. One time in 1988, members of the church used these decrees to fight a 16,000-acre fire that was spreading from Yellowstone National Park. Their compound was right next to that park. They chanted things like, "Reverse the tide, roll them back, set all free." The fire stopped short of destroying the church property, but it may have been due to the firefighters as opposed to the decrees. Of course, the members attributed the property being spared to their chanting. Item number 4, Elizabeth claimed that she had a vision where she saw thousands of daisies in a field. She realized that the daisies represented people that she needed to save with her message from the Ascended Masters. So she thought of people as weeds that grow in undesirable places, which sounds a lot like what people think of New Age cult leaders. Item number 5, in reading through several of Elizabeth's books, here are a few lessons that she was trying to teach people. A person should prepare for oneness with their higher self using a violet flame, like the color violet. The violet flame can transmute negative energy. It changes hatred into love, fear into courage, and anger into compassion. People should start their day with an impenetrable tube of light, which can protect them from negative energy and physical danger. I guess it's important when looking at different tubes of light in the store to select the one marked impenetrable. That's the real deal. Elizabeth said that ascension is the only way to avoid reincarnation. To ascend, a person must have balanced exactly 51% of their karma. She used the word precise, as if 51% was the value and only that value was acceptable, not more than 51% or less than. So I guess to get ascension, people should have a calculator handy. To be fair, after reading her books, a person starts to wish they could ascend to a place where her books do not exist. Therefore, in a sense, She is providing people a strong incentive to complete an ascension. Now moving to my final thoughts. When reading Elizabeth's books and watching video recordings that she was featured in, it becomes clear that she established a New Age cult. Her beliefs have many components that we see in other New Age cults, like vibrations, frequencies, karma, reincarnation, ascension, negative energy, and convincing church members to hand over their money. I think that's the most important element that she was getting at. Elizabeth mixed things up a little bit by adding the apocalypse. She thought it was a feature that should be included in her church, but it really doesn't fit. Here she sort of strayed into the territory of cult leaders like David Koresh or Sam Fife. She was mixing two different types of cult together. The apocalypse contains too much negative energy for a New Age cult. Elizabeth eventually terminated the Armageddon angle. Like so many New Age cult leaders, Elizabeth's messages were so abstract that they didn't have any meaning at all. She wasn't just high in openness to experience, she was off the scale. She just talked in circles, similar to James Arthur Ray, Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra, Sadhguru, and Bhagwan Rajneesh. They all have the gift of using a lot of words without conveying any meaning. I think that the highest aspiration of any cult leader is not to become one with their higher self, but rather to become one with a random word generator, to have their speech be indistinguishable from nonsense. By this standard, Elizabeth should be honored as one of the great New Age cult leaders. Those are my thoughts on Elizabeth Clare Prophet. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.